Mr. Paul Farrington. How are you, my good
Evening,
friend?
evening, mate. You all recovered from the weekend?
Recovered is it's a weird one because I don't know, right? So cards on the table right off the bat for listeners. This year's Damnation made zero money. That's the polite way of putting it. It didn't make any money, right? Last year's Damnation made a fortune. So ultimately I should have been coming up the road this year in tears. And last year I come up the road and be like, oh my God, this is fucking great. I've got the me. But I feel the opposite. I mean, last year was good, but we came up the road, we logged back onto that forum and it was like there wasn't enough food vendors, there wasn't enough seating. I feel like the good parts of Damnation and what we'd achieved at Beckerina had been buried a wee bit. And this year when I kind of opened up the internet, kind of looking through my fingers, it was the exact opposite. So I've been absolutely buzzing about just the reaction to this year's Damnation, despite the fact it wasn't a financial success.
Yeah, I think for everyone bar you, it was probably a pretty good day. But
How about
was there
yourself?
anything?
What's your reaction to it? How are you feeling?
Well, it took me a couple of days to kind of unwind from it, just because you sleep so little. I think I probably slept from Wednesday through till Sunday, maybe like 10 hours in total from the time we got up there. So it just took me a couple of days to kind of get my head back into it. And kind of now looking back at it, I think we did a lot of things really, really well. And I'm really kind of happy with how it went as an event. It's obviously little hiccups and little bits and pieces, losing two bands at the last minute is never ideal. But I think we took out on board everything that people were complaining about. Those complaints, there wasn't enough food, there wasn't enough seats, all of those bits and pieces. I think we managed to take those on board and improve them. And I think it's given us something to really build on again for next year. So I'm, unlike most years where I usually don't want to see you or speak to you again for at least a month, I'm quite fired up about getting going again. And the fact that we've had like massive pre-sales, like early bird sales from folk has really amplified that for me a bit.
Aye, it's been a weird, like that is, this has never happened before in the sense of what we've done. We came back up the road, even last year after filling that venue, there was never a proper jump straight back into it. Although we were still kind of buzzing, I feel that you can't address the food vendor situation or the seating situation for 12 months, and you can't prove to anyone that you're going to address it for 12 months. So that's a sort of an annoying itch that sits with you until you can show that you're going to go and make that effort. But ultimately, we never dived right back into it. And there was no intention to this year. There was our graphic designer, Bry, the third part of this trio, who doesn't like the public side of it. I told him in the car park. I would speak to him like a few, maybe before Christmas, but definitely not for a month. And within 24 hours, I was
24 hours, yeah.
I was on him again trying to get graphics and artwork done for those blind bird tickets, because it was a weird thing. You're coming back up the road, and as I say, you open the internet, which I hadn't seen much of over the couple of days there, and you're just braced because we've done it so many times for the negativity that you never experienced yourself over there, because people come up and say hello to you, and the people that say it, generally they tell you how much they're enjoying it. They don't come up to tell you, oh, by the way, you're a wanker and your festival shite, So you get that when you log back onto the internet.
Yeah, that's safe for the internet.
I
Yeah.
say
Nice to your face, horrible behind the keyboard.
aye. So then I was like, right, okay, Jesus, and I was like, oh my God, there's this the people who were there investing into next year, looking forward to it, and saying that openly, can't wait to be able to get tickets, I'll buy blind. And then there was that FOMO element of the people who weren't there, for genuine reasons, probably because we're skint, saying, fuck, I really missed it this year, and it looks and sounds like they'd done everything they could to address the problems that were there last year that might annoyed me. And I want to buy as well. And they're like, hey, let's just get some tickets up then. And if we do 200-300 tickets off the bat, I mean, what a great start to 2024. You get 200-300 tickets in the bank, and then away you go. And then the next thing you know,
It just went insane. It was absolutely insane.
It break the fourth wall, as they say. So I'm on the phone to Skiddle, the rep Sinead at Skiddle, and I'm saying, so this instalment plan, I think you suggested to me, like, how far can you extend it? So I'm like, what can we do with this? She goes, is it however many months are available, you can split it with however many months, like to the point, like 10 months, you can make it like 750. Of course you could not. But does that make it that you're kind of taking the piss at your own event a little bit, that you're putting on for $750? And if it was such a good idea, why is no one else doing it?
There's nobody else doing that, yeah.
And why is it relative to their price? So if your price is £300 for your ticket, like, why is there not a ticket available for a lot of these events for 30? And I was like, is this a good idea? Or is this one of these ones I'm still a wee bit punch drunk for the weekend? I said, all right, okay, fuck it, $750 it is, let's go. And there you go. But 1,000 tickets and 1,000 tickets in 12 hours. It was insane.
It was crazy. It's got a little taste of what it's like to be Glastonbury for 12 hours.
It was one of those ones as well. Yeah. It just kept going because, okay, we're going to cap it in my head, like make it 500 because we're not going to reach that anyway. So whenever we get there, we'll stop it. And it was like, okay, we smashed through 500 in a few hours. And I was like, make it 1,000.
Let's keep going, see what happens.
Sounds a wee bit unrealistic, then everyone gets behind it. Everyone gets behind, like, let's go for 1,000. You reach 1,000, like, we'll stopped it. And then today you're like, but why did we stop it?
Is there any reason to stop it? Yeah.
There was no marketing plan behind it. It was just like, why are we stopping it again? So, those went back.
That kind of sums us up a bit, though, doesn't it? Just kind of making it up as we go.
Exactly. And today, then you put it on, and what as we came on this call now, we're now at 1,100, which is just, it's just insane. It's gonna add that weird wee pressure. Another side of it, because no matter what you do, you're never going to get a lineup that pleases everyone. And this year's lineup's case in point. I mean, we were in love with this year's lineup. There's people there who've been long-term Damnation fans who didn't think it was that special. So ultimately, there's going to be someone out there that's not going to be happy that they've done this £7.50 instalment scheme, and then the lineups come out. No matter who we book, they're not going to enjoy it. But ultimately, at least we can have some sort of security to get into that booking process and tell those agents as well, look, we've got 1,100 tickets sold before we even start this conversation.
Yeah. With that, do you think, and this has kind of come from, I can't remember who it was who asked the question, I'll see if I have it here, but because of how honest we were about the fact that it didn't sell as well, do you think that'll change the process for this year? Are we going to change how we do things? Are we going to maybe lean less into the specialist sets? Are we going to change things? Well, we are changing things about Salvation, but this might be a good opportunity to explain that to people, because there seems to be a bit of confusion last year and then a bit of confusion this year about why Salvation tickets aren't available.
So what happened to that last year is so I was in Portugal for Amplifest, and a guy on our forums, Pedro, had made the point to me that I thought about myself, like, Damnation only being one day is off-putting for somebody flying from Portugal, for Germany, for Holland. You're going to go all the way to bloody wet England in the winter. It better be a damn good reason, you know what I mean? And you want to go there and maybe have 2 days of music. And Damnation was never going to be, and still hasn't and wasn't this year, a 2-day event. But the Night of Salvation could have been more, and might have given someone a reason to travel to England to enjoy more bands. So in the back of my head, and then ultimately our heads, it was like, right, okay, well, we've done that first. Night of Salvation's always been there. We've done the first Damnation, made it successful there with a small Night of Salvation, which was relatively successful in itself. So it's like, okay, well, here's your big bonus ticket. If you want it, completely optional, entirely optional, not Damnation, not 2 days of Damnation, nothing to do with fucking Damnation, right? It's, if you want, you can come on a Friday night and you can get now these 3 stages, and for a heavily subsidised price of, it started at £30. I mean, that's how ridiculous.
Which is insane.
That day started, the ticket was £30 if you bought it blind. And then the confusion just reigned for the full 12 months, right up to Damnation itself. It was like, I'm not coming to Damnation because I can't get a day off work on Friday. And you're like, how the fuck did that become a thing, you know? Damnation's not on Friday. I am not coming to Damnation because the hotel rooms have cost me £440. That's 2 nights hotel rooms. You don't need to come to the Friday. I'm not coming to Damnation because I'm just going to buy the ticket for the Friday for £45 and not bother with Damnation, which was a complete left field one for us.
That was a complete shock.
That was never supposed to be an option, you know. It was like, it's Damnation plus. It was never like imposed on
Salvation, yeah.
And then even you had the weird folk that would say, "Oh, I prefer the Friday lineup to the Saturday lineup," like it was some sort of insult. Like, they're both, it's both ours. It's not like there's some company that done the Friday and then we done the Saturday. It's like, we put both together. So if you prefer Leprous to I don't know, dead guy or whoever was in the plane Saturday, then good for you. That was so it became problematic. I feel that it did hinder the sales of Damnation because people were regularly saying that instead of Damnation being £75, which it was in 2022, it was and is in 2023 and will be in 2024 as it currently stands. They were saying it was like 120 because they were combining it all together, and some folk were throwing in their train ticket,
the hotels
ticket,
and everything,
and then going, "This is the same price as Arctangent. This is the same price." Right, well, let's calm down a bit. It's nothing like that at all. So that's why we have taken this approach of really cleaning up the definition of what Damnation is again. Is the same as it's always been. It's a Saturday. It's what we've always done. There will be a Night of Salvation. It probably will only be available if you have a Damnation ticket. To then buy that as an option on top, an upgrade is probably the way it would be described in schedule. And that just seems easier. And I think that's why, another reason why it was so successful when we put pre-sales on, I was like, oh, I get this. It's $750 and it's that day and I can get it. It just seems...
It's nice and simple.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing we never expected, was that people would automatically start to see Damnation as a 2-day event. And I can see how they'd come to that conclusion. But it wasn't something we expected. And we have an older crowd who have wives and kids and jobs and responsibilities, and they like to come to Damnation, go bananas for 12 hours on a Saturday and be home in time for Sunday football kickoff. And just, I guess, the adding of the Friday just changed the dynamic for a lot of people, and they started seeing it a little bit differently. So this year it's like, okay, let's just put Damnation on, so there's no confusion anymore. Sell that really well, and the better that sells, the more freedom we have to play around with on the Friday to make it bigger or smaller, but certainly as an upgrade, as an addition to Damnation, rather than as seeing Damnation as a 2-day event.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, I read that comment yesterday, and it's a valid point when you're looking at it from a buyer's point of view. Like, but if you make the Friday only available to Damnation punters, then you're going to lose out to people that only want to come the Friday, or maybe only able to come the Friday. But the counter to that is the Friday shouldn't exist and can't exist without Damnation. The only reason it's there, I mean, £45 to go into an arena and see all those sets is because it's subsidised by Damnation. So without a successful Damnation, there is no Night of Salvation in that context. Night of Salvation goes back to what it was before in a 200 capacity pub in Leeds. That's what the Night of Salvation exists by itself without Damnation's financial might, basically, to say, right, we've already paid for the tents outside, the production, the screens, everything that's there, the bands flying in. So that's why, ultimately, if you lose 10 tickets for people who were only able to ever come for the Friday, then that's unfortunate, but much better that than losing 50, 100 tickets for people just choosing that day because it's so much cheaper.
Yeah. So let's be positive then. What was your favourite thing about the day?
Well, let's just go back right before that, because let's go back to because the reason people listen to these things is like, what the hell was going on back there? So we're there for the Wednesday, and the Wednesday you're setting up the site, and the Thursday and everything's getting prepped. So by the time we leave on Thursday and Julie Christmas is rehearsing on stage, we're like, right, boom. Then we come in the Friday. Now, the Friday was insanely chaotic being stage, because if you think about it, no matter how well you plan for these things, you have 15 to 20 bands flying in from all over the world with all different tour managers trying to find themselves into an industrial estate in Manchester with all their own issues, be it the shuttles, the hotels, whatever. It's pure organised chaos. And in the middle of it all, I went down to the gates to get doors open, basically, because it was wet and windy and it was a queue outside. And as I'm there just to make sure everything's going right, the side of the gazebo's blown up, the AAA guest list is away, there's passes flying everywhere. So next thing I know, I'm literally on the door, wristbanded people. And especially the forum members, the people who watch the podcast, are like, are you Gav?
Where else would you get that? You'd never get Michael Eavis standing at the gates to Glastonbury putting the wristbands on other folk.
And the weird thing, it was one of it was fun in the sense, like, because you get to meet, well, firstly, you get to meet all these people that are saying hello on the way in, and it's the buzz of people coming into the event you've been organising for 12 months, and it's just the randomness of it all, rather than sitting up there with your earpiece on and a cigar on the balcony, like, this is my empire. You're saying, make sure, is that 2 forum passes? Did you get a lanyard for that? So I was there for an hour or so getting that sorted, which was, it ended up being a lot of fun. Helped with Sarah, like, shout out to Sarah for helping me at the start, because you think that that's one person's job, and then ultimately it was 3, as a guy for Skiddle, Mark, Sarah and myself, all trying to make sure that the forum passes and the combo passes were all getting done. While the wind was blowing in for the side of the gazebo, and every time you lifted up a list it got blown away 2 tables. So that's how it started. Then kind of get into the venue and settled into the night a wee bit before we heard about, was that when we heard about Ahab?
I heard about Ahab about 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So we lost Tuskar on the Thursday. So we got the call on Thursday.
Let's rewind back to Tuskar.
It's good. Yeah, let's go to Thursday. Let's start with Thursday then. Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know, on the Friday Tuskar were due to play, and unfortunately they had to pull out. And then on the Saturday Ahab were due to play, and then unfortunately they had to pull out. So Thursday, it was you who got the call, wasn't it? You got the call from Tuskar saying that they weren't able to make it.
Yes.
Yeah. So at that point, I think we were setting up the merch tent and putting out tables around the merch tent. And we're like, okay, so we've lost a band. What do we do about this? And there's different options. You either just suck it up, you leave an empty slot in the middle of the day, which is never ideal. But then we start kind of looking around and thinking about, okay, who can you get? And I guess you have to be realistic. And I guess we'll come on to, particularly for the slot for Ahab's, and we can talk about it afterwards, is about some of the suggestions that people were coming out with us, who's going to come in to replace that slot. But you have to be kind of realistic about kind of who's achievable, what's realistic, who's going to be available on a day's notice. So you're looking at, it's going to be a UK band, and it needs to be a band that are either already kind of out gigging regularly or touring at the minute, because then they're kind of well drilled and they've got a live show ready, or a band who can get together quickly on Thursday evening, run through a practice, and then come down for Friday. And we were quite lucky on our forum that we have. There's a chap named Andy Gill, who's in a rather excellent post-rock band called Dinner Celestial Birds. And having spoken to him at Arctangent, he had said most of the band were going anyway, as kind of fans of the day. And me and you are both big fans. You've obviously talked on the podcast a lot about Dinner Celestial Birds. So I managed to track down Andy's number and just kind of give him a call and say, are you guys able to make it up? And yeah, the 11th Hour Heroes, they were, I think the only one who wasn't originally coming was the drummer, because he was down in Cambridge or somewhere. So they had to just get him a day off work, and then up they came, and they absolutely smashed us.
Yeah, and it's real. Firstly, thank you to those guys, and what a set. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about Damnation when you go and see Dinner Celestial Birds in a slot that we're never supposed to be playing in the middle of record label stages are not on, and it's packed. And not only that, fair side of it, and fair play to everyone involved in the production side of it, the backdrops there, everything's set up for them within a few hours' notice. I mean, I am not the guy who handles production at Damnation, but I see it. It's a struggle when your left-hand drummer shows up, or the bassist doesn't use this card, or the guitar's nowhere, or it's somewhere else. So I can see the problems going to when you get 3 months advancing, never mind when you get 3 hours advancing. So the guys from all sides, that was pretty spectacular. And the turnout to see them. And I'm telling you what, those guys are a top-notch post-rock band.
Yes, they absolutely are.
I mean, they smashed Arctangent when they got their shot there. They smashed the Night of Salvation on Friday just past. I believe they've now just been announced again to play Arctangents Wednesday next.
Yeah.
Good for them. Absolutely brilliant. Nothing but love for the guys in Dinner Celestial Birds, and that was a cracker. But I'd probably around about the same time as you were enjoying that. Whoa, just Dinner Celestial Birds, but also dealing with the absolute chaos of Ahab. This is again, to go behind the scenes, which is, I suppose, the reason we're doing having these chats. Tyler Hodges is the man who was the agent at the time of Greenlung. who gave us that 11-hour call to say, by the way, Guy in Greenlaw's got COVID, they can't do tomorrow at whatever Damnation that was, 2021, I think.
Yeah.
Tyler Hodges is the drummer and vocalist
for Tuskar.
So he was the guy giving me a call to say, oh, by the way, personal emergency, we're not going to be able to make it. It's like, Tyler Hodges is the agent for Ahab. he's every poor bastard touches, and like he's a lovely, lovely guy, and he couldn't be more sorry about the whole situation. But I mean, none of it's his fault, but just the bad luck that guy has when it comes to Damnation. So when he had to deliver the news, or tell the band to deliver the news that one of the Ahab was ill and couldn't make the flight, it was like, oh my God, he doesn't have a good run of form when it comes to that.
No.
Then we're like, right, okay, Ahab, and no disrespect to Dinner Celestial Birds at this time, but it's the slot before headline in the third stage. It's not
big slot.
It's not just whoever's kind of available to fill in on the Friday night on the third stage. It's like, you need to show the slot a bit of respect as well. It's a bit like, you can't just be like any band that you know. And people are just, oh, my mate was at the pub last weekend and I think he started that band. It's like, we'd rather just the slot that didn't get used than just put anyone you hadn't heard of. And I was watching Bossk at the time. I was like, well, why not these guys? I mean, they're doing Audio Noir tonight. They've got plenty in their arsenal to come back and smash it tomorrow, and it went from there. And we've got a great relationship with Bossk. We've got a great relationship with our agent Hayden, who's been on the podcast, and a wee bit of haggling, and there's your dinner. They were back for the next day,
and they were amazing.
They were amazing. And then Johannes Cultaluna, who's with Julie Christmas, talk about potluck. The guy's literally standing in the venue, so then you get Mayher as well done, and just it added another layer because then you're getting the songs that aren't in Audio Noir, and you're getting that bonus. I think they've only ever done that one time before as well, so you're getting. No one wanted to lose Ahab. Hopefully we can have Ahab back for next year, but there was plenty of people in that venue like, if I had the choice of the two, I'm definitely watching Bossk, you know.
Yeah, but it was really funny, just some of the rumors, just hearing them and kind of seeing people posting. I've heard they obviously must have seen Johannes knocking around or saw him he was knocking around with Julie Christmas and assumed the whole Cultaluna band were here, and it's Cultaluna. Someone suggested it might have been Sleep. I was just like, I mean, no disrespect. If we're going to book Sleep, it will be announced.
Aye, honestly, when I read the Mariner one, or somebody told me the Mariner one, I'm like, mate, you go out there just now and you try to book Mariner. Like, see how long it takes you, if it's even possible, which I don't think it is. We did not organise Mariner in 3 hours' notice. I mean, just because Johannes and Julie Christmas happened to be in the building, there is another, like, 5 or 6 parts of that before you even get into the mechanics behind the scene of how that book would come together. And it's not happening in Damnation's third stage in 3 hours' notice. But listen, maybe it's credit to us the fact that we've managed to pull off some of these, because you're right. Here's 2 reasons why you probably shouldn't even bother. Save yourself the money, because whoever's playing these slots, they're not doing it for free anyway, and you're not going to get blamed for it. So just save yourself the money and come back next year when Ahab are available. And 2, you need the pieces of the jigsaw you need to make it work are so difficult, or you need to have those relationships with those bands. So that was credit, but it makes those special moments. I felt like when Bossk came in and done that, and then the bonus of having Johannes, it was I was there a moment, and I saw the video afterwards. Julie Christmas is in the crowd, headbanging. Johannes is on the barrier, fucking screaming. The rest of Bossk are playing behind him. Like, this is, I mean, you pay good money for that in a pre-arranged show 6 months in advance, never mind getting it on the day just on luck.
Yeah. And it was luck. And again, it comes back to, but both of them, Dinner Celestial Birds and Bossk, is just about having those relationships and having people who were very thankful or willing to kind of step in at the 11th hour and help us out. And it just so happens that they're awesome bands as well. That's just like an added bonus for the fact that they're helping us out. So.
To both those bands and everyone involved around those bands for making that happen. And we're glad we managed to dig ourselves at a couple of holes with that. So that gets through. Then you've got that main stage. looked spectacular. You've got Leprous, Enslaved, and Catatonia doing their sets. There's no getting around the fact that we've done less sales than we wanted. That's the reason Damnation never made money this year, because of that. But still, I was terrified it was going to look like 6 people and a dog at the local pub, and still we managed to, there was just enough there to keep it that it looked like a proper production.
Busy.
So that was good. We get through the Friday night and you're a bit like, exhausted. Because then you get the changeover of everything we've got upstairs, all the dress rooms to get changed back over the next day. So you're getting back to your bed, into bed for like 2.
Yeah.
Back up at 6.
Yeah.
And then it's Damnation.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, left the venue about 2, got into bed maybe about 3, was up again about 6, and just lay there for 3 hours going, I need to do this, need to do this, need to do this, dressing rooms need to be done, need to sort the production for this. Okay, who's arriving today? Who's already outside? I just lay there wide awake for 3 hours, and the alarm goes off and go, right, back in and do it all again.
Yeah.
But the Saturday, it felt different. It felt much better. For me, there was very little, I usually judge how chaotic a day is by how much noise there is in my earpiece. And if I'm getting asked lots of questions, it usually means there's something going on or someone needs to check this out. And it wasn't. It was a much smoother day. And some of that might have been the fact that some of the bands were there already, Catatonia, Enslaved, Dead Guy, they were all already on, like Bossk, they were all already there. And that made that a little bit easier. You weren't worrying about bands turning up and that kind of thing. So that probably helped a little bit. But I think once we got the production side of it and we kind of figured out the kinks from the first day, then at that point, then everything, it ran much smoother from certainly the production side of things. It was a much easier day on the Saturday, despite there being more bands in the building than on the Friday.
It was I had the same experience. I definitely had that, and it would have helped having Catatonia and Enslaved and Psy and Dead Guy already on site, already settled in, already with our merch in place, already with our dressing room in place, already with our buses parked. Bossk ultimately then, because they played the next day as well. So that did take a bit of pressure off it, but yeah, it was nothing quite as chaotic as the first few hours on Friday, and I think that'll be the same for any event where everybody's. It's amazing when you say let's advance it, and everybody's all going to arrive at between 9 and 10, and we're all going to get this stuff, and we'll do it. And then ultimately come the day, and it always happens, the band's all shot 5 minutes before doors, and it's just pandemonium. There's just not enough hands to make everything happen. So it's, but the feedback.
There's two ways that can go, and I was kind of thinking about this afterwards because I write up the advance sheets that get sent out to all the bands, and I'm like, arrival from 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I should really make that a little bit more bespoke and kind of stagger the arrivals. Because what happens is 6 or 7 bands all arrive at the same time and they want help bringing in their cabs or whatever else, their heads and their merch and stuff like that. And all of them want to do it as soon as they arrive. They want to get that done so they can settle into their dressing rooms and just relax before showtime. And that's absolutely fine. But it just makes it very chaotic when everyone turns up and you've got 6 tour managers in the production office all looking for their passes and their meal tokens and all the rest of it. I was like, I should maybe start staggering it a little bit, like get the later bands to arrive a little bit later in the day. So that's maybe something to work on for next year.
You try to make it as open as possible for them. It's just bad luck, the timing of how it all pans out. And then everything you have advanced, everything has been agreed, pre-agreed, agreed against, stamped, sealed, signed off. Somebody for the band just shows up and goes, that's not what's happening. I mean, it's like, regardless of how many times you do it, it's like, I don't know if you ever get feeding some of that back through into some of these band members that just aren't reading those messages. So but by the time we got to the Saturday, I definitely felt a lot better about how things were going. Nordic Giants. I mean, I walked out of that room when Coffee Milks were playing, packed. Now that's important to us and always has been. So you're like, excellent. Damnation's delivered again. The Damnation fans have delivered again, coming through the door at the crack of dawn, getting themselves up and getting themselves in to see Laster and Coffee Mulch. So then that's always my first fear of our band's going to look forward to playing to Damnation for 5 or 6 months of the year and then showing up and realising that they're playing to 50 people.
No one there.
So that ticks that box. Then I went outside and I went, you know what? I'm getting myself a Sour's Holy Goat effort for the bar that I haven't tried. I'm going to walk around that comedy style fencing that made about 17 kilometres with no one else in the queue.
The silly snake barrier.
The venue put in for us, and I don't think they ever removed, despite me asking. Got myself a pint, got my wife and kids, and I went and watched Nordic Giants, because the whole point of that, like, we always mock folk for talking about programming and curating a bill. You're like, mate, you book some bands. Let's not get carried away. But if ever Damnation was going to be praised for curating a programming, now is Nordic Giants opening that main stage was completely deliberate. They were better suited to the third stage. They'd be easier booking for the third stage. But the whole point was, you walk into Damnation and you don't know anything about Nordic Giants. You go like, what the fuck is going on?
Why is there someone in a scuba gear losing oxygen?
And that's what happened. They were very in the comments, because even doesn't matter how many times you say beforehand, go see Nordic Giants, go see Nordic Giants, see Nordic Giants. There's a huge portion of Damnation audience you're just never reaching, with be it Twitter, Instagram, the forum, or Facebook. So you're still getting people wandering in that are there because their favourite band's enslaved that day, or they've got to see Electric Wizard, and they walk in and it's like, there's two guys dressed in feathers with a 12-metre video wall. What on earth is going on? What did that take last night? And then you're like, everybody just transfixed watching this. Basically, it's a proper performance, not just a live show. It's a proper production, and that's exactly what we wanted. And I was delighted that turned out the way it was supposed to.
It looked amazing when I was in there watching it as well. I was in there with my wife and daughter watching it, and it was amazing. Absolutely loved it. Like, so. Then the rest of the day kind of went pretty well. Annie, of course, over the 2 days, what was your? We'll start with a negative. We'll build to the positive. Anything that was the least favorite thing the least favorite thing over the course of the 2 days?
The least favorite. I mean, the ticket sales will sit at Damnation 2023 has been that dark cloud that sits above it all. I mean, when you're watching any of the bands, any like Unearth, Julie Christ was utterly spectacular. Unearth were carnage, it was amazing. But you look down, if you're on the balcony, like 2,000 more people should have been here for this. 2,000 more people were here last year. 2,000 more people should have been here this year. These sets deserved it. The people who, again, weren't here for
whatever reason,
perfectly good reasons. You don't owe us anything. You do not owe Damnation anything. It's up to us to make sure that you need to be at the event. So, but when you're sitting there, like, the people who have supported Damnation all years couldn't make it for whatever reason, and if the reasons like just the lineup wasn't for them, that's also fair too. But they would have enjoyed it. I mean, there's no way you're watching that Unearth set or the Julie Christmas set or the Amon Ra set and not enjoying it. And that was the real. There was nothing I walked away from Damnation in the same way we did last year, like food traders and seats. I mean, that was very clear. That needs to get resolved. Never came away this year. Still tweaks to the food trader situation, still tweaks to the venue situation, there's still things we could get right, and we'll continue to improve that. But that whole sort of like,
they were the big ones. There
should be more. These sets deserve it. I mean, because the bands, that's the thing as well, like, it's difficult for an event like Damnation on the grand scaling when you're playing Wacken and Hellfest and Download and all the like, when you come to Damnation and you're enslaved and you've done this for 30 years, it's probably difficult for them to get that up for the fact that 6,000 people, even if they were there, it's like, we've done this 50 times before, you know, so, but they were all in. I mean, they paid to get them, like, that wasn't us. They treated Damnation like it was fucking a final show. Catatonia brought their A game. Julie Christmas brought her A game. Amon Ra brought it. Like, everybody was playing their sets. Like, Sai flew in mechanical. I don't think that she's doing any other kids were there. The Oms made it their final whatever. Kurukuma brought the female singer for the other band. I'm sorry that escaped me.
Nina.
Nina came up. It was like everybody was just treating it. Anu Natharak had spent a lot of time making the video wall for the
videos.
Bomb's not gonna. Everybody was treating Damnation like this is the show, and when you see that as well, you're like, fucking hell! This isn't just another tour date to these bands. This is like, they're coming here to smash us, and they did. And you're like, that is even more so. Like, more people should have been there to see all those sets.
Do
you feel a negative?
For me, the only negative, Saturday was, I enjoyed Saturday much more than Friday. The reason being, just because it was chaotic, I was running around lots of little bits and pieces. Oh, this isn't happening. Can you help with this? Can you move this? And you're just kind of always on the go, which meant I didn't watch an awful lot on Friday. I'd walk through a room and I go, oh, there was that band or whatever, and then kind of just have to keep moving on because I need to go and sort something out or whatever it is. So because some of Friday was as chaotic as it was, I didn't see an awful lot of it. And that was just for me personally kind of disappointing. There was a lot on the Friday stuff I really wanted to watch. I caught Psy, and I thought Psy were spectacularly good. Absolutely loved the score and defeat set. And then I went in next door and watched Dead Guy doing kind of Fixation. And
that was
yeah.
I mean, that was one because there's a lot of highlights over the weekend. Like maybe Chihuahua spectacular, Nordic Giants spectacular. Julie Christmas was unbelievable. Like the one that get into that, the Dead Guy, because Dead Guy have slowly built up in me this year. I mean, take my music I like anyway, but then I come across. Then they end up being absolute gems. There's something about we've had a few of these bands when they show up and they kind of haven't done anything in a while, or haven't done stuff in the scale of Damnation, and they come in and they just seem to walk about so appreciative of everything that's there. Just like Repulsion or a band that remind me of that today. Just want to give you free merch and tell you how great it is that you gave them a yogurt and stuff. It's like they're so happy all the time. Which is the complete contrast to how they're on stage. You know what I mean? It's like they're the angriest men there. So then you go in and see them, like, this is spectacular. It's like pure chaos. Everyone is just going mental on a Friday night watching this band who broke up 25 years ago before they even released their first album. It's like no one, for a fact, no one in the room's seen this band before. I think Cult of Lunas came to see them in his 90s now, supposed to be in the venue. Enslaved's managers in the room watching them. It's like this was like a big deal for a lot of people. And then the chaos added to it, which is like I enjoyed them immensely in the Friday night.
Yeah, I even went for a cheeky crowd surf whilst still with my walkie-talkie and my earphone in.
Honestly, and at that point, it's like me, lack of professionalism. Yeah.
All right, what are the highlights? So you've kind of rattled through a few of your highlights. Is there anything else that stands out?
I actually think of what else. I mean, there'll be plenty. I mean, Downfall, Gia, however they pronounce it, they were great. And again, it's one of those ones where I feel like last year, We Lost the Sea was definitely like a booking for me. It was like there's so much of Damnation, but as band take it or leave it, or I would never listen to that album, but I recognise how important it is to the Damnation fan base, and I recognise how great that band is to any given scene.
That's what they do.
Thrash, doom, death, whatever. So it's not like, but every now and then you're a bit like, I truly believe in this band being spectacular in their genre, and maybe other folk don't know or don't agree, but I do. So We Lost the Sea was my version of that last year, who knocked out the park. And then Downfall of Gaia, well, my version of that this year is one of those ones where a cheeky wee, so this is a band I just want to see. I mean, who knows if they'll ever come to goddamn UK if we don't book them. So when I walked in and that place was pretty packed as well, and everyone was enjoying that. That was another highlight. But even seeing the pictures afterwards of bands I never got to see properly, like Psy in that second set, and they've covered in blood and flaming Bibles, and that. It was so much that afterwards I was like, I wish I could have got that.
I wish I'd seen that.
One song, one of my favourite bands ever, and we were dealing with other shit backstage at the time, and it looked incredible. Like at that point, if I could have just been right, everyone else, I'm just going to stand in the middle of that crowd and just get transfixed. I'd have loved it, but it was that's part and parcel. Ultimately, you want to make sure you can catch every band at a festival. Don't organise it.
Yeah, Amon-Ra, I think I was the same. I think I was caught up in the same thing as you. Caught one song of theirs. Absolutely loved it. Loved Judy Christmas. Watched the whole of Judy's set. And that was special. She really does when she's on stage, it's just entirely different. She's like this very quiet, super polite, very nice, just New York lady, and then she gets on stage and she just changes, and it just elevates everything that she does. Like so, and it was just. That was awesome. That was one I think probably was one of my absolute highlights on the Saturday was the Judy Christmas set. So here's some more Judy Christmas in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How did you find this year? Because this is the first year this has been your job, and you picked a hell of a year for it. Pick a year where you don't make any money and to make it your full-time job. What did you find different about having 12 months, nearly a full 12 months of just being able to focus your time and energy on this versus fitting it in around journalism and stuff like that?
It's an odd because in a lot of ways, I'm going to have endless days of just doing nothing and but it was the opposite. It was absolute opposite, and I think why we've had so many compliments for the bands playing, why I've had compliments for the fans who attended, why it was so because of that as well. And again, that I am not involved in the production of Damnation. I don't make those stages happen. The drum kits thing, like you play a massive part in it. We've got Marios that's been brought in for it. We've got the guys at SBS. So it's not like I'm saying, I made sure that the stages ran in time or anything. But being involved daily for as long as it was, there was a lot of shit that happened behind stage, and the dressing rooms, it just was a lot smoother than it had ever been before. And then I'm like to my wife, well, how the hell do we manage to do all this? And ultimately, is that much different? But you've got Damnation clothing, is there?
Yeah.
And there's a fucking Damnation sauce. There's a Damnation IPA that I'm sitting here,
which is absolutely delicious. I drank far too many of those over the weekend, and if it came from
they say they're only
6%,
I tell you, they feel absolutely wreck the hoostress and stuff like that. And ultimately, we did. Like, it didn't sell the tickets we wanted to sell, but there was a second full day. It's like that didn't get organised with the extra hours. So it's a weird one because there's plenty that filled my days that made Damnation what it was, successful then. But ultimately, you can't sustain that forever. You can't go the full year of not having the security of a salary from journalism and then not make money at Damnation and say, let's just continue doing that forever. So Damnation 2022 made enough to cover this year. Damnation 2024 needs to make money, or else there's going to be some issues. I'm going to be chatting some doors of editors and saying, mate, remember I used to be your boss?
Any jobs?
Any chance I could be your junior reporter? So, it was good. It was good. I honestly thought it would be a bigger transition mentally than it was, but I kind of went into it quite quick, and now I'm like already ball rolling for 2024.
Yeah, and that that leads us quite nicely into, so we've already talked, tickets are on sale, tickets are already flying, which we're phenomenally grateful for. And in some ways, this is my favorite part of the booking process. This is it's like Schrodinger's festival. Everyone is available and no one is available because you haven't started making approaches. So eventually doors start getting closed. No, that band's not available. They're touring this part of the world. They're on an album cycle, they're recording, whatever else. But at this moment in time, when we're at the very early stages of just even sending out tentative emails, or this band available, essentially everyone is available at this point until we're told otherwise. Have you got ideas? So I have like a few ideas of who I want to kind of approach and whatever else. But has the fact that 2023 and it didn't make money, do you think that's going to, because the last time we had this problem was 2009. That was the only other year it never made money. And we downscaled, we reevaluated, we didn't overstretch ourselves, made sure we got through 2010 and then turned things back around in 2011. Is that going to be the same mindset when we're going for bands this year, that we kind of go, okay, we need to be mindful of that. We don't want to overstretch ourselves. Or is it better to go, let's go balls out, let's go big, make sure we get the ticket sales in, and then we have nothing to worry about?
Well, the latter, without the reckless abandon of it, but the latter definitely in the sense of I feel like the Night of Salvation issue was something we've already addressed. We've already separated those two entities so that people who felt that it was a £500 weekend are back to now thinking, because here's the truth, Damnation's ticket, by the final ticket price in 2022 was £75, and people thought that was entirely reasonable. Damnation's ticket price in 2023 was £75, and people thought that was unbelievably expensive. Damnation ticket price right now in 2024 is £75. People are saying it's too cheap, So it's all about Here's 3 ways to present £75 to the masses, and 3 ways you can get it thrown back at you for being reasonable, too expensive, or too cheap. So here we are now sitting with people buying these tickets. It'll still be £75. Ultimately, thinking like, oh my God, I'm stealing a ticket for you. This is free. This is cheap on Netflix. It's like, it's. I feel like we've already made that first step. You're right. We did lose money in 2009, and we did address it in 2010. Rebuilt and then built ourselves back up to where we are now. We did. I don't know how much. Not going to be a loss. Let's just call it. We didn't make money. Let's just say we broke even this year, and now we're addressing that. We're not just blindly stumbling in. Because here's the thing: we could just blame everything else, couldn't we? We could just say, "Cost of crisis living." It was too wet in Manchester. It's like that other show was on the same weekend to me, but like just don't take any responsibility and just blame everyone else and just blindly go into 2024 and do the exact same thing you done in 2023. Well, that's clearly 48 hours, 72 hours later, and we've already shown we're not doing that.
Yep.
Exact same way that we showed over 2022 into 2023 that we weren't going to come back and not have food vendors and not have more seating. So I feel like we're already doing it, but not. I feel like if anybody was ever going to accuse us of scaling back or not, or try to save money, those video screens would not have been on the walls. We would have. There's so much we could have cut to save tens of thousands if we wanted. But the whole point was, which I feel like we're now seeing the benefit of, is smash it, show everyone who did believe in you, did come, that it was worth it, and everyone who didn't come, again, for whatever reason, there's no blaming that, but that you should come next year.
They just want to come back. Yeah.
Come back, because you know what this is, an event that is special, it is different, it does what it's trying to do, you know, and ultimately, I mean, beforehand, when we're looking at ticket sales, before these 1,100 we've just sold blind, it's that whole, do we need to go and spend 75% of the band budget to get that one huge name?
Massive headliner.
Which I hate that idea. I hate it. I don't want Damnation to be like that. I don't want Damnation to have one band that would be in the main stage of Download and we've booked them because it's like, that's our ticket to survival. I want Damnation to be survival because of what we've done this year and last year. I want people to come see stuff that they couldn't see elsewhere. That's the whole point of Damnation. What's the point of having Damnation just doing what another event's doing on a smaller scale? But if it's only way you can survive, then I suppose you just need to face reality that you're no filling an arena without it. However, in the last 48 hours, 1,100 tickets later, you're like, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. Maybe we do 2,000 tickets before we've even got a headliner. And at that point, like, let's just book amazing bands that don't play the UK or you never get to see.
Here's hoping for 2,000 tickets before we ever announce a headliner.
Aye, because I mean, do you feel the same though? I mean, how do you feel? Like, okay, because the band, it's not like we're going to book. We joke about Five Finger Death Punch and Volbeat and these bands a lot, but it's not that. It's like it's the good bands. It's the Mastodons, the Gojira's, the Meshuggahs that you're like, they're going to absorb most of your budget, and they're going to sell you a shit ton of tickets. But is that more exciting to you as a Damnation fan that's coming through the door at 12 a.m. to see Coffin, Mulch and Master than what we do currently? I mean, and for me, it's not because I don't think any of those bands are spectacular. I go and see all of them. Go see every one of those bands. And Behemoth, another one in that same bracket. But ultimately, you're not getting all those bands in between. You're not getting Julie Christmas. You're not getting Unearth. You're not getting Chemist if you do Mastodon, because there's nothing left in the pie to get to book those bands. And then that's pretty disheartening. Yeah,
I 100% agree with that. That feels anti-Damnation. It doesn't, like, I love the fact that a Coffin, Mulch or a Laster can play to packed rooms at 12:30 on a rainy Saturday afternoon in Manchester, because you wouldn't get that anywhere else. But we have a wide, diverse, musically knowledgeable fan base who want to be there at 12 o'clock and be there for doors to catch the first bands coming on. And you run the risk of having a very empty venue until 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, when all of the Mastodon fans or Gojira fans or all of those bands, they all start rocking up, because all they really care about paying is to go and see Mastodon or Gojira. And then that ruins what Damnation is. So I absolutely wouldn't want us to ever have to go that way. And I guess the proof will just be in the pudding this year in terms of whatever we do choose to book, is it going to flick the switches of the masses? Is there going to be changes in people's circumstances? Mortgage rates come down, so people have a little bit more financial freedom to be able to spend to come to Damnation. Because what we book is a huge part of it, but there's lots of outside bits going on for other people as well. So hopefully whatever we put together this year is going to be going to do the business. We're going to fill out the Beck Arena again and absolutely smash it.
Aye. And that would be, aye. And if you're listening to this, that is the goal, because it's not like there isn't a plan B to do this. It's not like there isn't a go and get those bands, or the lack of, I don't know, if you call it ambition or whatever, that we couldn't do it. It's like sometimes it's almost like we're doing it the harder way. You know what I mean? To try and get these people to come and see Dead Guy and fucking Sigh. You know what I mean? It's like collectively the pie's still the pie. You know what I mean? If it's 150 grand to be like, that's what we spend. It's not, we don't do the cheap, we just do a different version of that pie, and you don't do the one band that takes 75% or 100% of your what you've got available to you, and the rest of it just scraps it get thrown out. So we'll see. So far so good. I feel different about Damnation 2024 sitting here talking to you than I did 40 hours ago, and even that, as I said, I did have a buzz coming back up, and that reaction that we got, because it'd been a bit of a stacked weekend. I mean, despite everything, it's like you need to separate both. You need to say, business wise, you need to accept it probably failed. You know what I mean? But as an event,
it went well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now we'll just get the business side right this year. We'll be laughing.
Aye, that's and if it was easy or not a risk, it's like, well, everyone would do it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be us two bam pots.
Just making it up as we go along.
Did you say there was folk in the forum that asked questions, or did you just daydream that?
There was definitely a few questions. So I'll see if I can find you a few. Who did the better crowd surfing, me or you? You to Nathrak versus me to Dead Guy.
Definitely, because the thing is with Dead Guys, Dead Guys crowd surfing was literally one person chucking you over a bath.
Rob Parnell's asked, obviously, because we're getting close to the 20th anniversary, and I don't want to over jump ourselves, but he's asking, would we do something a bit different? And are we setting the 20th anniversary based on the 20th year or the 20th event? Because obviously COVID throws that out. And I don't think we've never really talked about that in terms of...
And you know what's a weird one, right? Because we made our 10th anniversary actually our 10th year, didn't we? So we promoted 2014 as the 10th anniversary. We never went 2005 to 2005 because we promoted the 10th anniversary as the 10th event, which I don't think that's how events usually do it.
No, most people would have said wait till 2015 and that was your 10th anniversary.
Aye. So is this not one that when it gets to 2025 you actually strike both, because it'll be the 20th event and the 20th year? Because COVID,
it might be now because of COVID has actually thrown it. I have to sit down and get out a piece of paper.
They'll be called the 20th anniversary, and it will be the 20th Damnation. So that's, and will we approach it different? Yeah, I mean, we'll do something. We'll definitely do something.
Yeah. Any plans for an after party next year? The answer is no at this stage. I'd love an after party, and we used to do them, but the problem is after 12 hours of standing or drinking for the whole day, there was only when we did the one last year, there was, I think, 50 people out of nearly 6,000 stayed. And it just cost the money to keep the bars open, keep the bar staff there, to keep the security there. And also just the atmosphere of it. It was very, very quiet, and it didn't feel very after party-ish.
Aye.
So I don't...
And to be fair,
I don't think it'll be back next year.
That's something we had that problem right from Leeds. Even we're using Stylus, which is Stylus is small in our third stage now, and it was still a pretty sparse existence with your Martin Horns and your Neil Coggins just kind of kicking about in the middle of the crowd and know a lot of others. So, I mean, we would love an after party, but let's be honest, shows that any are other than the handful that are able to do an after party. So did the Cantina bar stay open until 2 this year? Was it 2 we
got? Was it 1?
Was
it
2?
We got maybe It was probably, yeah. I think they only gave it to us for like an extra hour
I mean,
afterwards. I
don't
think it
get
was
me wrong,
probably
despite the fact I was a broken man strolling about that festival on the Saturday time it was done, I was ready for definitely having a few drinks in the cantina, and then seemed to get kicked out rapidly. But again, the thing is, with Arena, you're not just keeping that place open for a few quid. I mean, you might take 10
yeah.
security just to keep that place open. Each security guard on, I don't know, 20 quid an hour. It's not just a case of somebody sitting with a set of keys going, aye, have a few drinks and then we're good to go. So, aye, we would love an after party, but I mean,
Yeah.
you need shows. You need shows that you're actually going to stick around.
People turn up. They need to be there for it, so it can happen.
Exactly.
What's been someone's asked? A guy named Jared Gimbert has asked, what's been the best set out of all of them, and which one surprised you the most?
That's for this year.
I'm assuming for it doesn't say like for all time, so I assume it means for this year.
The best set of the weekend, because I didn't see the Amon Ra one properly. The best set of the weekend was Julie Christmas. The one that surprised me the most was Dead Guy on Friday, because it was just brilliant. It was just brilliant fun. So, what about yourself?
For me, Julie Christmas or Dead Guy was probably for the best for me. I think maybe Julie will probably pip it. And Psy, just because I've never had a chance to properly watch them. Like they were there at Damnation in 2008. I think I completely missed them. But actually, just watching their set, I was surprised about how much theatrics, flaming swords, flaming chalices, covered in blood, all of that stuff. How much that was all involved in the set, and they were kind of the one that surprised me how much I enjoyed their set. So yeah. People are asking, another one's asking, Ollie Gonzalez is asking when's going to be the first announcement for bands next year. Simple answer is when we book some.
Well, we need to once we're booked. My thinking is, and again, this is all last 48-hour thinking, because I never thought we'll do any of this week, is we will hope to have early bird tickets, which won't be too much more expensive, but whenever announced with the first smattering of bands by middle of next month, maybe just before Christmas, can get some bands tied down, announce something. Whether there's headliners of that announced with that, doubtful at this point, but definitely a flavour of a bunch of bands that you're going to see at Damnation 2024, and that'll be the end of the sort of the blind bird sale, and we'll go with the early birds basically.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one actually. I quite like this question. Matthew Pryor. So the community, so our Damnation, the Facebook forum that we have, he says it's tied into the festival more so than most heavy metal music festivals. And I'd agree with that. I think we have an awesome community there. Would you ever consider opening it up as like an equity share in Damnation to let other people buy a long-term share in the festival? It's kind of a bit like the Brewdogs, their equity for punks thing. You let people just buy investment into the festival.
What's that got to do with the forum? Is that he just used the
because he's saying because it's as like a community, because the whole, like, I guess if you think of like Brewdogs, their equity for punks, it's about we're part of this thing, this is our thing, and you feel like a little bit of extra ownership of it. And given that we have such a supportive community, would you ever think of opening it up to that community as an opportunity to buy a tiny piece of Damnation? Obviously, it's not about you losing your shares. Control of it.
So I'd be like
shares. Kind of like shares. A bit like shares, yeah. Like they become shareholders in Damnation. But I'm guessing probably not to the point of you losing anything remotely close to 50% of your own festival.
Who was you say that's the question? Matthew Pryor.
Matthew Pryor, yeah.
Pryor. Where were you 10 days ago?
That's how people can buy shares. You can buy
ask me 10 days ago, mate. I'm selling all the shares. 100% of Damnation's available. But I mean, ultimately, listen. Well, firstly, it's not Brewdog, is it? Is there a salary? Is there a salary to be made from Damnation? Yes, there is. Is that a salary that can be made across a team of people? No, it's not. So ultimately, I am not looking. Damnation's a comfortable place. It's able to get itself through the years where it's maybe a bit more of a struggle, but it's not. I don't know if it's something. It's no Facebook. You know what I mean, it's no. It's not something that there's big slices of pies to give out. And ultimately, at the minute, I've got too much to do with Damnation in my own terms without trying to sell on. But I mean, never say never. I mean, I don't know. I'm terrible. You're much better at the economics of all this situation I am. I don't know how any of it works. So I'm a bit like quite happy just to sit here with my own meat pie and just. And when the losses are losses, I take them in the chin, and when the wins are wins, I'll take them and add them in my pie. So it's
Joe Harrington kind of asks, it's interesting to see how much the dedicated fans can, and it's again, this is back to the kind of, I suppose, the forum thing, how much the dedicated fans can, if all, influence the lineup. I think they do massively.
Massively.
I think.
Why wouldn't they? Why? I mean, this is like, I've seen this arrogance with other people. Like, they think there's some sort of level above the fan base. It's like, here's me sprinkling my fucking knowledge on you. Like, some people in that forum have been into this music since as long as I've been alive. You know what I mean? It's like the arrogance of some promoters that they're telling you what you should listen to is beyond belief. It's like, yes, does that forum have? So who's the wee guy? He might be fucking older than me. He might be 10 fucking foot for but the guy Harry Clancy or somebody Clancy who suggested that size scorn defeat. He is the reason that size set existed. I was thinking of ideas about to book. I read his post. I went to the agent. I said, "Hey, turns out it's 30 years since Scorn Defeat. Would Si fancy it?" And he came back and said yes. I mean, I didn't come up with the idea. I just took it. So not only does it influence it influences it massively. Do we have all our own ideas anyway? Yes. Could we book it without the ideas? Yes. Is it better to be in sync with a community that are buying your tickets? Yes. It makes so much more sense. And then do people, it doesn't matter what the fucking run a supermarket or a pub or a whatever, people want to be heard. I mean, people want their complaints or advice or opinions to be listened to. Like, they're the guys that are investing in your product, ultimately, if you want to look at it in a plain business term. The idea of just, you see some events that are just cringy. Like you see the complaints getting in, and like, the next post is just so tone deaf.
Just missing the mark completely.
Flooded. I've been stuck here for 7 hours. The next post is, we're enjoying ourselves watching Bandex. Like, fuck's sake, read the room. Like, you've got fans that are literally stuck by the thousands in a car park, and you're posting up about how fantastic it is, a band that they paid to see that they can't see. I mean, like, I don't feel like any of this is any sort of marketing genius or some sort of like Damnation doing anything special. I mean, oh my God, how transparent you guys are. Just by being fucking honest. It's the easiest thing.
Yeah, it's not difficult, But I definitely think, I've noticed even now, because now we're getting into the kind of, all right, 2024, who do we need to book? And what's been quite good is reading through over the last 2 days, as soon as the tickets went on sale, everyone's putting up, here's my dream lineup, or I'd love to see band X and band Y. And I have a reasonable Rolodex of bands in my head, but it's really good going through and going, oh yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, that's a really good one. And it just kind of, it acts as like a nice little refresher. Actually, that'd be a really good one. We should definitely just fire an email to their agency, what they're talking about. And there was someone mentioned one earlier, and then I sent you a text saying we should contact him and see if he's available to get them sorted for next year. And I probably they would have come back to me, but that one came back because I was reading through the forum and someone had mentioned that particular band. And I was like, we'll definitely contact them to see if they're available for next year. So yeah, I think there's a huge amount of influence, whether we sit there and we'll go back and say, oh, by the way, this is because of you. We might not always do that. Certainly Harry Clancy's one is a great example for the Scorn Defeat.
It's not when it sticks out as a proper. I mean, there's a combination sometimes where you just see a band that gets requested a lot, you're like, this makes sense. But I think that's the only one where I can put my finger on it and say that's the direct result of that post to here, to that band being in state. That's a direct result. The
other one I can think of for this year was Coffee Malt, where when we were like early doors.
The product of us going and saying, look, I can't remember how that post came about, but we basically
we had a slot available, and we were like, okay, we have this slot. It's the opening slot on the second stage, so don't go asking for Cannibal Corpse or Obituary, but something good UK death metal, good UK black metal, good UK grindcore, whatever, something loud, shouty, and fast, and that was just tons and tons of people coming back saying, "Oh, should be Coffin Mulch? Coffin Mulch are the best death metal band in the UK at the minute. They should definitely be the ones to get it." And that was, as soon as we read that, we're like, "Okay, Coffin Mulch are overwhelmingly the band that people are saying we should book." And then within a couple of hours of reading that, I think we got onto them and got them booked. So
yeah, that is another.
yes.
That's a great example of how it is. Okay. If you get one more for us, if you get one more for you, wrap this up.
Let me see if I got you one more question. I'll keep it away from like the silly questions like which would you rather fight a chicken every day when you get in your car or a orangutan once in a while. Honestly, some of the questions that people come out with. Let me see, is there anything else? Or have we kind of got them this? We've talked about kind of the tickets, we've talked about the after party. People are asking how the merch sales went. I suppose it's a good chance for you to talk about Damnation merch and how that went.
Aye, it went well. Everything sold out, didn't it? So at the basis of this, we get nothing. Like, see, if you've got one of those distressed, like the worn t-shirts, we don't have those. So, what size are you from?
I'd like to call myself a medium. I'm probably a large at the minute.
Right, so
maybe I'll get back to a medium.
If MD's selling a medium and a large of that dyed one, from when I would like to buy it from you. The black one as well, and even the cream one. I've got one in cream that's large, and I'm a medium, so the large is kind of baggy me. I've got none of the zippers. I don't have any of the black or grey event t-shirt. It's the first time ever at Damnation I don't have anything. This is a Damnation clothing one because it's got no backprint on it. So this is a Damnation.
I have the olive one, and that's
the olive one went.
That's the only bit of Damnation merch I managed to get my hands on before it all disappeared.
Anything like it. So the Damnation festival merch absolutely flew off the shelves. And I'm going to try and talk Pins and Knuckles into doing small runs of maybe the most popular options. The Damnation clothing stuff sold very well also. So thank you. That's obviously completely mine and separate from the festival. So thank you for everybody who picked up a item for inside the venue from my family. So that's good. Hoping to get both sets. I think there's black Damnation festival t-shirts and large and extra large still available that are going to go up on Pins and Knuckles, and we'll get all the Damnation clothing options up on our site once they're all restocked, and then we're going to try and convince Pins and Knuckles that there's enough demand to do a small run of maybe a t-shirt or the olive hoodie or whatever we can get them to do again. The problem is you can have 5 or 6 people wanting it. You need to get 25 to 30 people to be buying for it to make any sense to do the rerun, or you're just doing it to lose money. So we'll see what we can organise with that. If Damnation, you went this first time, you're listening this first time, you didn't know anything about Damnation clothing, please check it out. I get kind of carried away with Damnation in the last month or so, but we're going to go back to that and get more done for the year coming up. So there's plenty of, that stuff is incredible. So definitely get that. And did that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah. Merch sold well. Merch sold well.
The merch sold well was out. So I definitely got. And then to wrap it up, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to Paul initially, Bry. So this is the threesome of Damnation: the Scottishman, the Englishman, the Irishman walk into a venue in Manchester and smash it. My family, Fro's family, who have to put up with our bullshit all year round.
All year.
Putting up with it, and almost with a smile. And then our crew, and I don't mean the crew from the guys behind the production side, who are also excellent but paid there to be in the day, but the crew, the guys that you see that walk about with the t-shirts, your Mikes and your Petes and your Wilburs and your Toms, who are the guys that are smiling and letting you in the sneaky bit at the side to catch get a picture of one of the bands. The guys are the beating heart of Damnation.
Volunteer heroes.
They're all in the forum. They all volunteer for that role. They all smash it. I mentioned Sarah earlier. We've got Wilbur up at the third stage. There's a ton of them. They're all worth their weight in gold, and they help Damnation.
Huge amount. We couldn't do it without them.
Well, we couldn't. The thing is, as well, you could just pay all those positions because you just pay somebody money, but then you lose everything that makes Damnation what it is behind the scenes as well. The people that, when these bands show up, they've got a bit of a glint in their eye because they know what that band means. I mean, we've got people that we pay behind the scenes to run a lot of stuff that don't know Devin Townsend from fucking the guy that sings in On Earth or Julie Christmas from whoever, you know what I mean? And they're just like, they're there to do a job, and that's great. That's why they're hired. But the guys, us included, and the guys that are in our crew team, they do give a shit, and they're involved all year round. And I think that lends itself to a real sense of community when you're there as well. And then you've got this added layer of the fan base, you guys that are so involved as well, stopping us and saying, "Oh, hi," and how much it means to you to be there. That's incredible. That's why Damnation's created this vibe. And it's a bit of a cliche. Every festival in the world, like every football club in the world, says, "Oh, our fans are the best in the world." And I'm not trying to become that cliche, but you feel it.
It is. I definitely noticed. I noticed I got a lot of people coming up, stopping me, and I wouldn't have known them, but they kind of recognize us from the forum or whatever. It's like, "Oh, thanks for what you do." No, don't thank us. Thank you for being there, because then by you being there, we get to keep doing this. And this is great. This is an easy job to have. Yeah. So as long as you guys keep coming, thank you for being there.
And it's hard to leave it in a better note than that. So keep those. Yeah. Get those 750 tickets bought. Tell your pals to get those 750 tickets. Let's smash 2024. Fro, pleasure's always to talk to you.
Always, mate.
I'd say I'll see you in a month, but I won't. I'll talk to you tomorrow, all right?
See you later, mate. See you later.